I'm going to invite you to allow the windows of your eyes to close if they aren't already. And as the windows of the eyes close, you feel peace flowing into your body. And as you feel that peace, any stress from this weekend or from your week is simply floating away. And you find yourself in a beautiful place in nature. This could be a place you've been before many times. This could be a place that you've invented right now. There could be an ocean or trees, waterfall, anything that you want. And you feel completely safe in this beautiful space. And as you sit in this space, you notice your breathing is low and slow. As you breathe in and out, belly rises, belly falls. You allow complete safety and calm to come over your whole body. And as you sit in this beautiful place in nature, you notice the sounds, you notice the smells, you notice the beautiful colors, and you feel completely at peace. And as you allow yourself to sit in this space, off in the distance, you notice a figure walking toward you. And you know intuitively that this is one of your wise guides. And you're so happy to see your wise guide coming towards you. Your wise guide easily and gently comes towards you. And you're going to have a conversation with your wise guide. Maybe you need guidance on something, or maybe your guide simply has a message that they want to give you. So I'm going to give you some space to allow yourself to sit with your wise guide. And sometimes our wise guides just want to be with us, and maybe they don't have a message, and that's okay too. So as you sit, allowing your wise guide to be with you, you keep your low, slow flow of breath, gently, easily, calmly. And I'm going to allow you to sit for just a few moments with your wise guide. And as you sit with your wise guide, you feel complete unconditional love coming from your whole divine support team, coming from God. You feel completely safe, feel completely secure. You're so happy to have had this time with your guide. And you allow yourself to really stay in your body, noticing everything that's around you. You can bring in anything else that you choose. You are in charge of your own experience. And you feel so happy to have this power. And as your wise guide gives you any last messages, you're filled with gratitude for this time. As your guide walks away, you are still filled with so much peace. And you really enjoy this environment you've created for yourself. And you know that you can come here anytime you choose. You will always find love. You will always find peace. You will always find ease. You will find yourself being incredibly present. And in this presence, you now slowly, easily continue breathing. Belly rise, belly falls. And you gently start to bring yourself back to the room that we are in. You might start mindfully feeling your fingers and toes. You might stretch your body a little bit. And you can slowly and gently start to return to the present moment. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes, coming back to the room. And I hope you guys enjoyed that. One of my teachers, that's one of her favorite meditations to do, and I always think it's nice to mindfully spend a little time with our guides and see if they have any messages for us. Although I usually don't get any messages in those times. My guides kind of have to slap me in the face with their guidance. So I get my stuff in different ways. So hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to be here. And in my work, of course, as a hypnotherapist and a coach, but definitely in hypnotherapy, it's all about working with our thoughts and, getting in there. What are the thoughts that are causing the issue? What are the thoughts causing anxiety or even physical issues, right? Like our thoughts can create our whole universe. And if we don't know that's what's happening, then our thoughts are just, maybe coming from the ego and are not so nice to have around. I know I fight with my ego sometimes. I'm like, no, you're wrong. Shush. So, some people will name their ego something. One of my teachers, since it's the amygdala, sort of, that place in our brain that is controlling some of that, she names it Amy. And so unless I have a client named Amy, I'm like, hey, you can call it Amy, and be like, Amy, that's this you self-saboteur in there. But our thoughts are influencing everything. And I love the Rumi quote, what you seek is seeking you. And because I think it really speaks to our thoughts are what are creating our reality, because our thoughts are telling our mind, this is what I want. This is what I'm looking for, right? So, and then it's going to find that. So if you're on the search for black cars, you're going to find black cars. And when we have these negative thoughts and negative mindsets, we're creating a negative reality. We're creating a reality that we may not actually be choosing, but we've had this program of thoughts happening in our mind That's just, we don't even realize it's guiding us to this life that we don't really enjoy, that we're really unhappy with. And people from the outside might look at your life and be like, wow, your life is perfect. But because your thoughts are thinking everything's wrong and always finding things wrong, you aren't having a good experience. And, I really believe we sort of all create our own little universe with our perceptions and perspectives and our thoughts. So we can choose our thoughts. So I think a really important practice is choosing some sort of mindfulness practice, because if you're not aware of your thoughts, how are you going to change them? How are you going to go, oh, wait, I've noticed I have a thought that I don't deserve money. Well, no wonder I don't have any money and I don't have a job that I love. I don't think I deserve it. And noticing that allows you to then make that change. There is that self-fulfilling prophecy thing, right? And it's because our mind knows what we want by our thoughts. And our mind wants to give us what we want, and it's not judging what we want. So if my thoughts are, like my ex-husband, always very negative, the universe is out to get me, well, then it is, because you created that. You've created that situation, so you're going to have problems. You're going to have technical issues of breaking all the time. I mean, unless we want to play Mercury retrograde. But, we're going to have these issues. And I learned a lot from my ex, just watching him and his view of the world interact with him, and how my universe was so different. My experience was so different because I had a positive outlook. I always assumed things were working out. I always assumed the universe is here for me and to guide me and to be there for me. And he assumed it was there to punish him and to get him. He thought he must have raped small children in a past life because his life was so terrible. And it's amazing to me because we were living the same life in a way, right? And I'm just like, I don't understand how you think all that. And here I am like, woo, life is great. And this is why we are divorced, because that kind of marriage is not great when you wake up to, what's actually happening. So I think mindfulness is a really good practice, and I'm sure many of you practice mindfulness, but I think something important to realize about mindfulness is that anything can be done mindfully. You can eat mindfully, you can walk mindfully. Qigong is one of my favorite mindfulness practices because it's a moving meditation. Obviously meditation, but anything can be done mindfully. I'm actually a mindfulness teacher too, so added that to my list of things. But I think mindfulness is this foundational practice to healing everything else. Because if we're not practicing mindfulness, if we're not getting present in our bodies, in our mind, noticing what are our thoughts, where do we go from there? We need that base to notice what our thoughts are, to notice this is what's happening in my body, to notice, oh, I'm feeling this in my heart or my stomach. We need to be able to notice those things so we can listen to ourselves and listen to our intuition. So some of the things that I work with my clients is, of course, limiting beliefs. Those are always fun, right? So when we notice we're having a limiting belief, we can be like, okay, where is this coming from? Oh, my mom told me growing up, this is how something was, or my dad, or school, or church, or society in general, right? You look at the effect of social media on kids today, and it's like they're creating all these beliefs around everything, and we're not really choosing those beliefs, we're just being fed them. So we need to be present to, what am I allowing into my field? What am I allowing into my mind? And is that something I want to choose to believe instead of just taking it on? Because shaping our beliefs starts with our thoughts. So limiting beliefs are something that you can really take some time to just notice, what is it that I believe? What is it that I believe about money or about love? I recently was having a discussion with a friend, and he was like, I always find these women that are not available. Like, and he just falls head over heels for these unavailable women, but they're always in need of a rescue, you know, they're always struggling. And I was like, okay, so you have this belief that you don't deserve someone that's available, and also you need to rescue. And he was like, no, I don't. That's not a belief. And I'm like, dude, this is what I do. Like, you're getting free therapy from me right now. So like, come on. Just trust me, that's a belief. You have a subconscious belief, and it's coming out as this like, oh, it just always happens this way. But no, your belief that you don't deserve someone that is available is what's then causing the actions that are quote unquote proving this thought that you're having, this belief that you're having. So getting control of our thoughts, you know, Marissa Peer, my mentor, she will always say, like, our thoughts are the only thing that we can actually control, if you really think about it. We can't control what other people are doing. We can't control the weather or if a building falls down, but we can control our thoughts. And when we realize we have that power, we can then translate that into so much more. So one of the things that I like to do is teach a looping thoughts ladder, which is a very simple practice to take a thought and sort of work with it, because our thoughts are creating our emotions, which are then creating our action or inaction. So in the inaction part, I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely something that happens, right? We just we freeze, we don't do anything. So I work with anxiety a lot, so I always like to use those sort of thoughts. But if we think about, you know, and you can do this, right? So like, think of a thought that comes up for you a lot. Maybe it's a good thought, maybe it's not a good thought. I would try to do a not good thought, because that's how this is gonna work a little bit better in practice. But let's say you have a thought that I'm not good enough. And if you think I'm not good enough, how's that making you feel? Probably makes you feel bad, might make you feel like a loser, might make you feel like you're not worth anything, you know, you're just worthless. And when you're having those feelings, what actions are you taking or not taking? I mean, if you just feel bad, you may not do anything. You may just sit and be depressed and just not move forward and not think that you can move forward, that you deserve to move forward. So in the looping thoughts ladder, you can kind of think of it as, you know, a ladder with the rungs, and so you've got thoughts, emotions, actions. So what would you be able to change that thought to? So work with a thought that you have. What could you change that to? So the I'm not good enough, maybe I would change to I'm always doing my best. Because the honest truth is, we are always doing our best, even if our best is 0.5% of our potential. If that's all the spoons we have, if you're familiar with the spoons thing, or all the energy we have, that's your best. And we're always doing our best at the time. And I think we get caught up looking back at things with our new knowledge and judging our past selves and thinking ill about where we were. Oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. And I'm like, don't shoulda yourself, right? Don't do that to yourself. Like, you, at that time, with the information you had, you really were doing your very best, always. I'll argue with this. I actually had a client argue with me about it, and I was like, dude, like, you were 12. You were doing your best with what you had at the time. Would you make that decision now? No, but that's okay. So I really like the looping thoughts ladder. It kind of works with Abraham Hicks' work in that whole choose the better feeling thought, right? So like, I think part of working the ladder is just taking that time. It's almost a mindfulness practice of noticing, what are my thoughts doing to me? How do they feel in my body? Am I feeling those anywhere in my body? Am I feeling better when I think that thought, or am I feeling worse? And maybe I can go, okay, oh, maybe that's my ego, and it's just been a little turd today, and I can just be like, okay, ego, I see you want me to feel bad today, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to choose something that even 0.5% makes me feel a little bit better. And then you can keep doing the process and moving up the ladder, so to speak, of the emotional scale, right? We can keep moving up and keep feeling better and better until we're like, wow, I'm really happy. And I will tell you, this practice takes time to incorporate. So be gentle with yourself, be compassionate with yourself, give yourself grace always. Because again, you are doing your best. And sometimes we do need to sit in those feelings we have. We need to allow ourselves to feel our feelings. I think that's something that I actually had to learn how to start feeling my feelings, and I was like, this sucks. I don't like feeling my feelings. Why are they making me do this? But, you know, it's a practice because I know as a child, I really wasn't allowed to feel angry or sad or anything. It was like, no, you need to just be happy because that's how it is. Just be happy. Why don't we just be happy? Let's sweep everything under the rug and just be happy. Well, that's not how that works, because then years later, you come to me and we go, oh, look, when you were 12 and your dad didn't let you be angry, you still have that anger in you. We need to get it out. So feeling our feelings is important, but we just don't want to live there, right? And we don't want to hold on to those feelings. We want to feel them, process them, and then let them go. And we can change our thoughts around our feelings too, right? Like it kind of can work both ways. So it's like, okay, maybe I want to feel happy. What thought can I think that will make me feel happy? For me, my practice is to get on Instagram and look at puppy videos and kittens and elephants, especially the elephants. I love watching them. So it's like we can choose these practices that can break that momentum of those thoughts that we might sometimes get into spiraling down in a place that we don't really want to spiral to. And we can then change that momentum and go on an upswing. Even if you just shift it a tiny bit at a time, we can really impact our lives and create those pivots in our lives. So let's say I'm looking for a job and my thoughts are like, oh, I don't have the skills for that, or I can't do this, I can't do that. Well, maybe start thinking about what you can do, right? Like those are these little switches of thought that we can make to really create a huge change in our lives. Just changing these little tiny things. So I think, awareness of our thoughts, which mindfulness helps with. Journaling is great, right? I actually don't do well journaling, but I will get on my computer, turn on Zoom, just me, and record. And I will just word vomit for an hour or two. Some interesting things will come out usually, because sometimes I channel, and I'll be like, okay, cool, got all this neat stuff. Now let me read the transcript of what I read. But finding a way to look at your thoughts that works for you, because we're not the same, right? So like for someone, journaling might be a way. For someone, doing Qigong might be a way that they get in their bodies and they're moving and they're doing that moving meditation, and then they're able to really look at what thoughts are coming across. Or maybe regular meditation is something that works well. Maybe they want a guided meditation. Maybe they don't. There's so many options. So it's about, let's play. Like we're really here to just be human, right? And part of being human is playing. And let me play with, how can I play with my thoughts? Let me play with how I can work with them. Maybe I'm going to journal. Maybe I'm going to voice note. Maybe I'm going to talk to a friend or a therapist. All of those things can help us with that base thing of awareness. What are my thoughts? And even practicing, like when something happens, when we're triggered, that's the big word right now, right, is triggers. But I say welcome the triggers, because what is a trigger doing but showing you somewhere there's a belief or there's something that needs to be healed. So like, why is this triggering me? What is this reminding me of? Is this taking me back to being a teenager or a little child? Or is this taking my nervous system back to a state that Maybe it's something I don't even remember. Let me try to feel into that, right? And then once we can notice our thoughts, then that's where we get our power back. And we go, okay, I see this thought. I'm going to change it. And we can mindfully choose to change it. And one of the things Marissa Peer says is like, I'm choosing this and I'm choosing to feel good about it. So when we make a choice, telling our mind, I am choosing this and I choose to feel good about it. I worked with a woman recently who had been cheated on, but she wanted to make her marriage work. And I said, okay, if you want to make it work, you're going to have to let go of the past. You're starting over. You're starting a new slate. Can you choose to let that go? And it took her a few minutes, but she was able to sit in that space and go, okay, I'm now making a choice to change my mind and to change how I'm seeing this situation and to see this as I'm choosing to start over and I'm choosing to trust, because there is no way to really get trust back. You just have to do it, right? You have to give them a chance, and that's scary. So, but for her, it was interesting. A few days after her session, she was like, I feel so different. I haven't cried. He's because he's still around the person that he had had the emotional affair with, and just work-wise. And so it was like, okay, I was able to not get triggered by him being around her, and wow, this is weird. And I'm like, yeah, it is weird, right? When our mind changes and we're like, wait, I used to react like this and now I'm doing this. And I would say, like, lean into that. Lean into those new things that you're like, oh wait, this is what I wanted. Cool. I'm doing really good, yay. Give myself a pat on the back. Our mind loves praise, especially from us. So like, give yourself praise. I mean, I know that's the ego, but that's okay. We can feed it a little bit. And then, you can use these working with our thoughts in every aspect of your life, but I would start with one thing, like my relationship. I want to change my thoughts around that, or my work, or I want to change my thoughts around spirituality, or whatever, right? And I think the biggest thing when you're trying to incorporate this type of change in your life is to just really give yourself so much grace and so much compassion and forgive yourself, because that's like the most important thing I could say that we could do is forgive ourselves. Some people will argue about forgiving others and all that stuff, but like, you know what? Forgive yourself at least, because otherwise you create these parts of yourself that want to punish you for the things that you've done, quote unquote, wrong. And like, why do we need to do that? Get present and forgive yourself for the past. And I'm out of time, basically. So I always welcome questions about this, so feel free to come talk to me. And I love talking about our thoughts and beliefs and all of that kind of stuff. So anyway, thank you so much for having me. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, does anybody have questions?
I have one thing.
Yeah.
I've said this before. It's like, I love that process, and I know that process exists, to analyze your thoughts.
Yeah.
But I just never think to do it. I need like a sign.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right? Okay, so if anyone needs that sign, just shoot me an email, zenmindmichelle@gmail.com. I think it's linked on the little info on the website. But yeah, I actually have a Looping Thoughts ladder that I can send you, and it's a ladder, and it says thoughts, emotions, actions, and I'm happy to email it to you, and then you can print it out and put it somewhere, dudes, you should see my mirror. Like, in my bathroom, my mirror has all kinds of stuff written on it because, that's all going in our subconscious. It's kind of like the movie They Live, right? All the subconscious programming from ads and all that stuff, right? So, like, hey, use that to your advantage. Use your mirror or a fridge or doors or whatever. put it everywhere. Put anything anywhere. I am enough. I am worthy. All of that stuff. Like, shout it from the mountaintop. And it does help you get into that practice. And that's where mindfulness comes in too. Like, okay, let me notice that I'm getting triggered right now and I need to leave. And you know what? Sometimes we need to go to bed angry because sleeping is going to change the momentum. It's going to allow our subconscious to process what actually happened in our mind in that argument that made me angry. And then I can come back, you know, if I'm having an argument with a partner and say, okay, now that I'm calm and I'm not in a dysregulated nervous system state, I can sit and have a meaningful discussion with you about what happened and get out of that place of, you know, the ego's kind of taken over and it just wants to yell and throw a little temper tantrum. So that's where I say go to bed angry sometimes. That's okay, because then in the morning you're going to feel better. But yes, just shoot me an email and I'll send that. And you can print it out and put it everywhere. Because it is very helpful to have that, I think, in your face. And then it reminds you. So, thank you.